It's lights out and away we go!
What's up, guys and girls, and welcome back to the F1 podcast. And again, I am joined by David.
Just for a change, folks, it's me. Hey, how are we all doing?
So, let's see now. It was the... I'm not going to call it the Brazilian Grand Prix because it's not the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Well, it is.
It's, Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
It's the
Brazil.
It's the Grand Prix in Brazil, therefore it's the Brazilian Grand Prix. I'm sorry, I'm not going
Yeah. I mean, I was expecting for a little bit more weather, if I'm honest, but I think...
No, we just got it all at once.
I think they got it all at once, as part of qualifying. So, what we will say is we didn't see FP1, FP2, or...
There was no SP2.
Of course there wasn't, was there? We basically didn't see FP1, FP2, or FP3
FP2.
because there was no FP2 and 3. It was only FP1, which I did not
No, I didn't catch that, but no, it's obviously sprint weekend, the last
see.
weekend of the season.
To be honest, I'm going to say I'm glad to see the back of the sprints.
I still say the sprints have good potential. We haven't fully realised it yet. That's what I would put to that.
Well, the sprints are alright, but I'm kind of glad to see the back of them because I think there was a bit too many.
I can fully get on board with what you say. I can fully get bored with you there.
I just honestly feel like there was a lot. There was just a bit too much.
There was too much in one go.
Yeah,
Having
because
three this close together right at the end of the season. I
well,
also think some poor circuits were chosen this year. As much as I love it, Spa is not a sprint Grand Prix circuit.
no. Austria.
I mean, I'd say we can maybe talk about this maybe at the end of the season. We'll do a one-off season review where we'll look at things like that.
Yeah, because it's...
I like the sprint format. I think it has potential to work. I still think it needs refinement.
Oh, we know it needs... The sprint does need refinement. Because in terms of just tyres as well, the way they run the sprints...
Well, they get one less set, don't they, on the sprint weekend?
Yeah, but it wasn't just that. It's like, you know, you have you've got qualifying to determine the main race, if you're not aware. So you've got qualifying, which determines your grid position for the main race, but then they have the separate sprint qualifying, which obviously we're going to talk about, to determine the grid for the sprint. Where the older format was qualifying would determine the grid for the sprint, and please tell me I'm right, and then the sprint would then determine the starting grid.
That was the original format. I actually preferred that.
But yeah, that's what I mean.
Because it felt like the sprint had some more weight over just being another race. Now I know, funny, I was listening to, I forget where I heard it, someone was talking about it. And basically what it boils down to is, it's all to do with media, and it's all to do with the fact that out of 5 sessions in your average weekend, 4 of them weren't races.
Yeah.
And media didn't like that.
But I kind of like what Crofty piped up with this weekend. Have a separate championship.
I've told you my theory on it, and I'm not going to try that again. Listen
No.
to last week's podcast where we talked, or the one before. But
The reserve drivers.
get the junior drivers involved.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Give them race time.
Yeah, Crofty also mentioned the fact that make it a separate thing, so that the sprint gets a sprint would be its own championship.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not actually against that. Like I say, I just go that one step further and say make it so So my theory was if we're going to stick at 6, each of your main drivers has to sit 3 out, and
Yeah.
your reserve driver has to be in.
Hmm.
So that way it's fair. You've not got to drive. You've not both drivers are missing out, but your your reserve driver gets 6 races, and that's experience they are struggling to get anywhere else.
Yeah. So, we'll go into quality.
We'll do it in this, and this is the other thing I don't like. I don't like the fact on the sprint weekend we have qualifying for Sunday before qualifying for Saturday.
Yeah.
That doesn't sit right in my head.
No, you would have thought that maybe they would have the sprint quality.
At least
first.
let the sessions follow in reasonable order.
Yeah.
Have Sunday's qualifying and then go to Saturday's qualifying afterwards just feels backwards to me.
I mean, it seemed
We
weird.
did have them playing about with tyre choices during, well, it's nothing I dislike them doing at the moment. Didn't we? Because they were only allowed to run mediums for the first 2 sections and softs for the
Yeah.
third one, or something like that.
Yeah. Two mediums, and then.
Which, like I said, I dislike that. But give the teams that freedom. So I've told you before, like if you chance someone like Alex Albon throws a set of softs on and suddenly appears in the middle of the top 10.
Yeah. It didn't. I don't know. It just seems weird to sit around, to just them messing around with all this tyre bollocks. And it's not. It may, it might not be confusing to drivers. It might be, but it's confusing to the people that are actually watching.
Yeah, I just don't see what it's gaining. Other than it's probably allowing Pirelli to have a better idea of not bringing more tyres than they absolutely need to. But then again, teams get a set number anyway, so that
Yeah.
to me is a bit of a moot point.
So, qualifying started off like any other qualifying, except there was a dirty, great, big, whacking cloud coming towards the circuit.
Dirty Great Cloud. I thought the friggin' what's it from Harry Potter were turning up.
And Death Eaters.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean...
It just went. I mean, you know yourself, we live in an area that's good for rain.
Yeah.
And when it goes dark, it can go dark, but bugger me, that came in somewhere wrong. And we all know what Brazil used to be like. We've moved away from doing this race in the rainy season.
Yeah, but the weirdest thing was... Okay, so to sum qualifying up very quickly, it was not... There wasn't much happened. Apart from 4 minutes to the end of Q3, what I'm going to use quote Brundle here. He to say there was like just what he could describe was a biblical storm coming.
Which is a saying I've used in the past.
Wonder if he nabbed it off you.
Hey, he's welcome to it. A legend like himself, I'd be honoured.
But the wind, you could see the wind getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see the weirdest thing was, they said it was raining, but the cameras weren't picking it up.
Yeah. Well, the track suddenly went, because we suddenly saw Piastri have a little bit of a slide, didn't we?
Yeah.
Now, they don't know if that was because the track got wet or if that was just a sudden change in wind.
Well, they say them cars are very susceptible to changing wind conditions. But
yeah,
suddenly to turn a track from day to night.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was thunder and lightning, but, to go from...
Yeah, you saw in the interviews, they had to host the interviews afterwards in the safety car garage because they couldn't do them outside because he was hammering it down.
Yeah, you saw the rain eventually, but... that was some storm.
It was, wasn't it?
I suppose if that had been there for either the sprint or the race, then yeah, the race wouldn't have run.
Yeah, that'd have been another Brazilian,
Spa.
Belgian incident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was typical of people were showing the pace in qualifying. Merck Yeah. Haas. Okay.
Aston Martin rocked up out of nowhere.
Stroll did at least.
Well, Stroll and Fernando. Let's
Oh
not
yeah,
forget
they
Aston
both
has
did.
gone backwards this season, and yet at Brazil seem to finally wake up again.
Yeah, but that's why I think they did it. They went back to the old upgrades.
Mm.
They went back to before the upgrades, and I think that's done them a lot of favours.
Well, it did at Brazil. You got to think it's probably going to Abu Dhabi. We've got that great leveler in the middle that none of us know.
Mm.
We'll see what happens there.
But then you've got the likes of got Vegas coming up, but
That's what I mean.
we'll
None
see.
of us know what Vegas is going to be like. No
Oh.
one's ever actually properly driven it yet, so
No,
we don't know.
apart from in a game.
I'm sure they've got simulator data, but it still won't be, up to the real
Oh
thing.
no. But at least it's not a sprint, so they can get that data that they need over 3 sessions.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that's why they probably chose not to put a sprint on Vegas, because of
I also think it comes to you're not often going to see stuff like that at street circuits because of having to close roads and shite.
Baku.
It's got to be that's set up differently. You got to
Baku's still a main city.
That didn't get what was that sprint?
Yeah, I'm sure Baku was a sprint.
Well, fair enough. Normally you find they tend not to because when you've got to shut places down, local authorities tend to be quite precise and not very. Also, you could say Vegas is a slightly different level of city to the likes of Baku.
Hmm. You want to move into sprint shootout just while I'm having a quick look.
Right, sprint shootout, yeah.
Yeah, no, Baku was the first sprint this season.
I mean, the big incident there was the collision between Ocon and Fernando. In typical fashion, Ocon immediately blamed Fernando when replay showed. I mean, I put it down as a racing incident. I don't actually put blame particularly on either driver personally. Ocon hit the curb, came off the curb, and the car stepped away. And in trying to collect the car, he collected Fernando.
Now, yeah, I don't, like I say, I don't blame Fernando for it, because Fernando was technically there.
The only thing Fernando could have done differently is not been there.
Well, yeah, but it was just...
And that's something difficult to predict.
Yeah, and it was the fact that, yes, he was looking in his mirrors. Fernando, yes, he slightly turned to the left, but I think Fernando was actually unsure on where the hell Ocon was going at that point.
If Ocon had kept control of that car, he wouldn't have been anywhere near him. Fernando was well off the racing line on the far side of the track.
Hmm.
It's just like I say, because Ocon's car came off that curve, and he had to counter steer it, which, is the only way you're going to catch a car doing that.
Yeah.
He unfortunately counter steered straight into the side of Fernando's car.
Yeah, he did, but Ocon seemed to... It was weird, because Ocon's...
That's also a racing driver thing. You always blame the other guy in the heat of the moment.
We've seen a lot of that this weekend.
I always think back to the freaking Grosjean blaming Ericsson at Baku, ironically. It turned out he was 2.5 seconds further back down the road.
Yeah, he was nowhere near him.
Ericsson hit us, well, he's 3 corners away, so that was a trick. Must have thrown a blue shell.
Yeah. But, yeah, Ocon just got the tank slapper, and that was a hell of a shunt, though.
Oh, he did a lot of damage, did he? Straight to the wall. Unfortunately, Fernando did make Q2, but couldn't take part.
No.
Because they couldn't fix the car in time.
No. And there was a great picture on the Sky.
For Gasly, actually. Only Gasly was actually made Q2. Oh, you're talking about the picture of the Aston Martin mechanic?
The Aston Martin mechanic, where all you see is his legs.
I tell you what, that poor guy, every Christmas card he gets this year is going to have that picture on the front of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. The thing is, I was talking to a family man who was a mechanic, and I've done it. We've all had that job on a car. Usually it's under the dashboard where you're upside down in the seat trying to do it.
Hmm.
It's uncomfortable as hell, all the blood from your head, but you just end up in that position somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what it was doing. You just saw the pair of legs sticking out over the halo.
And it got caught on world TV, so that's why it ended up getting so much of a meme.
Oh yeah. Oh, it will be. That'll be the new one. That'll.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you say, AlphaTauri had some pretty good pace and all.
Yeah, AlphaTauri, after not doing well in the main quali, woke up for the sprint.
Hmm.
I mean, Danny Rick is showing reason. I think because of the amount of slating I gave him, once again, curse of me. He's actually showing reasonable pace. I'm still not convinced, but he's certainly doing better than maybe we anticipated.
Well, yeah, like I say, I wasn't convinced, but the performance, has come back to him.
Mm.
Vegas will be the telling point.
Yeah.
Perez seemed to do all right.
Yeah, Perez, you see, it's obviously a circuit that suits him. Now, I think we would have seen a good Perez result in Mexico had he got beyond the first corner.
Yeah, I think it was just that was just a lot. I think it was a lot of pressure, and it was just.
That was just what happens when you go for. Like I say, it's the exact same thing that Lewis did in Qatar.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
Now, yeah, it could have turned in a little bit later, but that's one of how long's a piece of string jobs. You know, it was when it happens, and I still like Perez a lot. I still think his run of form hasn't been great, but I still know he's got the talent if once he refines it.
Yeah.
And we know he's got the drive for next season, so we're not as worried. Today, this race also did him a favour in the championship standings for holding on to second, which is good.
I mean, like you say, Merck and Ferrari didn't seem to have pace even in the sprint shootout.
At one point, Mercedes were the slowest Mercedes-powered car,
Yeah, I know.
which has got to be a little bit of a kick in the teeth. I mean, those headphones everywhere quiver at that moment.
And then we had the sprint race, which typical sprint race. Fair play to Norris. And it was good, but it was a bit over too quick because of the way the track is. It was a very quick, it was kind of
very short lap, isn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of a blink and you'll miss the sprint race, basically.
Yeah, it's a very short lap. Well played from McLaren once again. McLaren, if they can keep this up, are firmly cementing themselves as a threat for next year.
So, shall we come on to the race?
Yeah,
I mean, so
where do you want, which bit of the race?
The start. So Russell, Gasly, and Ocon got handed 2 place grid penalties. We should say for driving slowly on the pit exit, but that was during
the Friday qualifying.
Friday qualifying.
And we should say for those, this is the FIA's answer to the problems that occurred at the last Grand Prix where they had cars parked in the pit lane. The rule now was that cars were allowed to do that. Cars were allowed to slow and travel slow, but they had to get as far left in the pit lane as physically possible.
Yeah, if they carry that on, that's not always going to work with some pit lanes.
I also have one issue, and this is as much as it sounds. There was a clear shot at one point. Now, I don't like the idea of overtaking in the pit lane. And there was a clear shot at one moment where I think it was Verstappen did overtake a car before he crossed the pit exit line.
Yeah, but
that bit of track between the pit exit and the actually joining the track, I don't like the idea of cars trying to overtake in the pit lane. I think it's setting dangerous precedents there.
Well, the FIA clearly allowed it because he didn't get done for it.
No, I'm not. I know they did, but just to me personally,
Yeah, I know.
letting cars overtake in the pit lane, I don't like that.
No, it seems a bit.
Dangerous.
Well, apart from dangerous,
You haven't got pit lanes wide enough to have two lanes running down them like NASCAR do.
no. It's just a bit. Seems a bit bonkers. Why they would do that? I mean, Brazil's track pit exit doesn't seem wide enough. Yes, you saw Max pass Leclerc. Also, it's one of the.
That's a few. Max was one of the main ones doing it.
Yeah, no, but it was basically passing one of them on the grass. He was like literally had dipped his car in the grass to pass because he didn't keep over well enough. And then we come. I will say the one thing: the Brazilian national anthem. No offense to anybody, any listeners, if you're listening from Brazil. That really wasn't a good rendition because it seemed to me that did the singer actually forget at one point?
I missed this. I said literally when I joined in, I think there were like 5 minutes to go.
Oh, well, they basically did the national anthem, but there was somebody playing like a ukulele type Brazilian ukulele type thing, and for the national anthem, and the way it was, she'd said something, and then it was like, I'm gonna go musical here, but it seemed like 2 bars had gone by,
Right.
which is basically like you would class as 4 beats. If I'm remembering my musical terminology correctly here, I should have done it. I have an A star. I had I had a bloody a B in music, so I should know. So basically,
the only influence in music I have is what comes out my backside. So.
So there was like a short gap, and then she started singing again, and it was like, did you actually remember to sing, or did you like nearly forget your own anthem?
I went out picturing there's a Jay Foreman comedy sketch where he sings a song 1 beat late.
But
and it's one of the funniest things you've ever. Like if you're singing the song, but he's 1 beat off.
Yeah, but it kind of.
It's amazing how it throws the entire song.
Yeah, but it kind of seemed like that because the fact that it seemed like they'd missed them beats, as it's known. Yeah, and then there was the awkward exchange between Machine Gun Kelly and Mine Brundle on the grid during the grid walk. Yeah, that was embarrassing. Machine Gun Kelly trying to get Brundle to air guitar.
I mean, my only knowledge of Machine Gun Kelly was watching him get launched into a pool in the latest Jackass movie, so...
Yeah, but the fact that Brundle asked him about his career, Machine Gun Kelly turned around and said, I don't... something like what career or something like that. But he basically didn't say much, and then apparently he left early anyways, did Machine Gun Kelly, apparently.
Yeah, I remember Kravitz talking about that.
Yeah. And then we had the formation lap. Sorry, Ferrari fans. But, ouch!
Yeah, not even making it to the grid. That's
I mean, what? I mean...
hydraulic press there, which was weird because he seemed to still have enough steering to steer it off the track.
Yeah, but it'll felt like a frigging tank because he'd lost all the power steering.
How did he though? Because the way he steered it off the track, it didn't look like he was particularly struggling with it.
Well, that's what caused him to bin it.
I wonder
because I think
Leclerc. He said hydraulic failure, and when you watched the external replay, you saw like a puff of like fluid from the back of the car.
Yeah,
I
which
just wonder
was
if he just dumped the hydraulic fluid on the back tyres is what lost him control.
don't know,
I think he maybe dropped the fluid straight under his back tyre.
but as he tried to turn the wheel, even he said it wasn't. It was heavy. Because if your power steering fails in a car, it becomes heavy. That's how you know something's gone wrong. And I don't, he wouldn't have been able to carry on doing that to do the race
No,
with.
but had he managed to at least limp it back to the pit lane, things might not have ended as badly. Now, he didn't know that at the time, but obviously if we get on to the actual start,
But well, yeah.
where we had a cracking... And once again, this goes down... It was the first corner of racing incident. I will say this now. There was no blame on any driver from me. Racing incident. Albon made a great start with the two Hasses in front of him trying to go up the outside. Unfortunately, at the same time, the inner Haas, which I believe would have been K-Mag,
K-Mag was on the left.
Hulk in the
Hulk
middle.
in the middle.
Yeah. K-Mag was coming towards the right, and poor Hulkenberg in the middle was the meat in a sandwich.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, at that point, people will say, well, why not brake? You've got to remember, there's probably a car behind him going at good speed. If he hits the brakes hard,
Yeah.
he's got somebody flying over his back wing.
Yeah.
So you're stuck, and unfortunately tagged at Albon, put him into the side of his teammate, ripped the rear tyre off Albon's car. K-Mag's car then spun into the back of Piastri before it finished and broke his front wing, his back wing.
Yeah.
The tyre got flicked up in the air by Hulkenberg again and hit Danny Rick's rear ring.
Yeah. And it was just like... I was just thinking to myself, well, Bottas, eat your heart out.
I mean, you know what? Yeah, in fact, it was tactical. It was the two Aussies as well.
Yeah.
I mean, are we now here in Germany declare war on Australia?
But it was just like... What? And then, safety car come out. They were gonna lead the cars through the pits until they probably realised, shit, there's too much debris there, and they chucked the red flag.
I still don't think it was debris. I think a lot of them times it's just because Tech Pro.
Oh, the Tech Pro will have been damaged, but there was
They have to make sure that Tech Pro's safe.
I know, but there was a lot of debris on track. You saw the amount of debris.
Well, was it? It was Friday. Friday quali was delayed because of debris, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was due to the thing. I know we're going back and forth. That was due to the Porsche Super Cup before.
They had a delay. I remember turning it on to watch it, and there was a like being delayed.
But this is I'm going to make my point early. Due to the television direction, you saw the race control message come up to say red flag. You didn't actually see anything else because they were too busy showing replays of the sodding start. The television direction this weekend was all right for the other stuff, for the sprint and everything like that. It wasn't so bad. For the main race, it was fucking awful. It really was. Really was awful. And then they managed to get Piastri's and Ricciardo's cars fixed.
Yeah, because of a red flag, they technically both lost a lap because they pitted a lap earlier than the red flag, which was a shame, really.
Yeah,
but they didn't know the red flag was coming, so they weren't able to.
No, they pitted. They pitted before the safety car, or when the safety car had come out, or whatever. And because he didn't carry on, then they lost the lap because of it, which is a shame because even though I still think they were both carrying slight damage, during the race. Even though they were a lap down, I still think they were carrying damage.
Yeah, just changing the rear wing's not an easy job.
No, but clearly they did it on Piastri's car.
Well, they had to do it on Danny Rick's as well.
Yeah.
but it's not something. It's a front wing's 15 seconds. A rear wing is not.
No, because they've got to mess around with bits at the back. And it's probably just more. I mean, that was. It was a hell of an incident, I'll say that. But.
As you say, Bottas bowling are going to become Albon bowling for next season.
Yeah. So, we obviously during the race, race got going again. Merckx just fell backwards.
Yeah, Mercedes seemed to have only brought a 6-speed gearbox this weekend.
Yeah, I kind of don't know what was going on with their strategy either.
That was until Russell had to retire because apparently the oil temperature was climbing, and they weren't being able to fix it.
They just didn't want the engine going boom, basically.
I've said to you already, we're very late in the season. I think people are very short of spare parts at this point. So
I mean,
they're
they've
not
got
wanting to.
They've got 2 races to get through.
Yeah, and if you can do it without having to take a penalty for new components.
Both the Ferrari-powered cars were out. And what I mean by that is customer team. So both the Alfa Romeos were out. K-Mag, obviously. Leclerc, obviously, because he was a non-starter. Albon, and then, like you say, Russell. And, yeah, the Mercedes didn't have any pace. But apart from...
Carlos had a solid race back up through.
He did.
I was going to say Carlos had a good.
He did.
And then obviously, to me, the highlight of the race and my driver of the day was a triumphant return of Sergio Perez. That last few lap battle with Alonso. I mean, fair play to Alonso. At his age, his experience there, he used every bit of it. He knew just when to defend and how hard. He was keeping Perez just far enough back. He was getting DRS, but not enough so he could do anything with it.
Considering the Red Bull is quick under DRS. But one thing I will say is kind of fair play to Norris having a dive on Max nearly.
Oh yeah.
And that
Norris kind of has to at times like that. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to get many shots at things like that. So
I kind of a little bit suspicious. I don't know if you nicked it off Crofty or. That would be funny if Crofty had actually listened to this podcast. That would be hilarious because I noticed just.
If you are David, contact us and come in sometime. We'd love to have you on board.
That would be incredible.
Ignore that Tom Bellingham. Come to us.
Yeah.
Here's me starting beef between the podcasts.
We're at the end of the season. Getting towards
What's
the
that
end
cease
of
and
the season.
desist come appearing through my letterbox?
But no, honestly, he used a word that you have used, and that was when you called Norris bridesmaid.
Yeah, well, I think I probably got it off Brundle or something like that originally. But if you total up how many second places
Oh yeah,
Lando's had without a win, it's like I genuinely feel bad for him. And like I say, once Piastri got that sprint win to prove the car's capable, it's like ever since I go all the way back to Sochi 2 years ago now, won it.
yeah.
When he lost that win because the weather turned. And it's just like, he's got the talent, undoubtedly. He's now got the car, undoubtedly. But just getting it all to line up together, especially when Red Bull are on such a high cloud right now.
He sounded quite deflated this weekend, Norris, for some reason.
I think we're also on the back end of the third race in 3 weekends.
Yeah, I know, but it just...
I wouldn't forgive drivers for being a bit ready for a weekend off.
Well, they get it. They get it this week.
And I know that when we say that they don't get time off, they'll be doing.
No.
But to actually, because I don't think it's the racing that tires them. I think it's all the press shite that comes with it.
And the travelling, probably.
Yeah, but all the interviews and probably been asked that same question again and again and again and again.
Yeah. No, but
I can
like I
honestly
say,
appreciate that one get.
but even over the radio, he sounded quite deflated. Even when he got that pole. Even when he got the pole, he sounded quite deflated.
Mm.
You know, he didn't seem himself.
No,
I mean, I don't know if he's recently broke up with his girlfriend or not. So you don't know.
I don't follow any drivers to that level of personal life.
No, but
I
I
like the
know.
sport. I enjoy the sport. I am not that kind of person, so I can't
Mm,
tell you. I will say, if we're talking about team radio, though, the guest appearance of Tom Jones on the Red Bull team radio,
yeah.
Max Verstappen's karaoke,
Mm,
I thought was quite entertaining. When Sky obviously picked it out and played it back to us. Yeah,
yeah.
Max Verstappen sings the green, green grass of home.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I watched the cool down room. I know we're sort of skipping a bit here. I watched the cool down room, but did they catch anybody swearing? Because I'm sure Lando swore.
I think I remember hearing something, but I don't think they picked up on it.
Yeah, somebody did swear, and I think it was Lando. Won't surprise
Which
me.
to me, I've never had an issue with that. 'Cause it's like they've just come out of an hour and a half solid of that. The adrenaline's flowing.
Yeah.
I would never have an issue if they've let one slip. They've let one slip.
Oh, they did. I think it was 2 Fs actually for Robin. But anyways, but the talking point, which is going to be kind of a quickish talking point. Alonso, Perez, right up to the line. Holy shit, that battle was immense.
Yeah, one of those best finishes we've had in a long time.
But
As I said, I put it in the 0.053. The gap.
that's,
I think we have had closer finishes in the past, but not many.
that was almost a photo finish. But I think, like you said, Alonso got to the timing beam before. But like I said, the race was a bit meh in between. And then as soon as this battle started going on, oh, it was getting exciting.
Oh yeah.
But like you say, Alonso knew exactly where to place that car each and every time.
He was deploying battery. He was just using enough that Perez was that little bit further back every time.
And
Every time you come to the end of the DRS zone, until Perez eventually got the opportunity. They actually commented, didn't they? Because Alonso was using a very different line out them last couple of corners. Now, apparently that is just his normal line.
But honestly, you couldn't have scripted that. You couldn't have scripted that battle. That was just. I know, but it was just immense. And like you say, Fernando Alonso at his age, it proves he's still got it.
Well, I see. And that they put it up 150 more, was it 125 more races than Perez? And Perez is no newbie.
No. But yeah, it still shows that the experience is there.
And the experience was there to realise to fight him back when he did. And in the end, it was Alonso came out on top.
Yeah.
Alonso got the third place, another podium for that Aston Martin returned.
Maybe a little too late, but it made one exciting race.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who did get the fastest lap in the end? I kind of missed that.
Fastest lap. Lando.
Oh, right, okay.
On lap 61 with a 112.4.
Not bad. And then Lando got driver of the day, obviously.
Lando getting driver of the day is something that just happens now.
It seems to, doesn't it? Before we finish, I do want to quickly do this, because I want to get this. I'm not looking forward to this. I don't know if you've actually checked this out.
Well, the Fantasy League.
The Fantasy League. So if you bear with
I
me,
have, and you're gonna be more excited about it than I am.
if you bear with me, guys, I need to find this button. Sorry about that. I've moved buttons around on my Stream Deck, so I'm getting used to the layout again. What?
What's up?
That wasn't... No. Something's gone weird then. Because I'll admit, I had a quick look last night. It wasn't showing me where I am now.
I bet I know what you did, 'cause I did the same thing. You clicked on Mexico, not Brazil, 'cause you have to scroll down slightly to get Brazil.
No, it was showing me last night as in third.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it wasn't showing me where I am now. It was showing me where you are.
Like I say, I checked a little bit earlier, and I didn't realise I had to scroll down, so I think I'd done Brazil.
So, yeah, Guanyujo did lose me points in the end. That's what I thought. I was expecting Piastri to lose me some points, but he didn't. That's kind of worked well then. Not as well as I'd hoped though. I mean, what did you do? Ooh, 11. Yeah, you got burned with Guanyujo and all. So what lost you? Williams?
Yeah, Williams, Zhao losing me.
11 like me.
Williams only got me 2 points. Other than that, no, I've had a pretty good.
So what happened to...
I have looked at what I can change, and there's not really anybody stronger than Joe.
No.
Yeah, money I've got left.
Yeah, there isn't.
Which, like I've said before, I still think next year they maybe need to lower the cost cap.
Yeah, they do in the
I
game.
think you can build too strong a team.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it because it's kept me... it's kept me away from Alan from catching me at the moment.
I think I'm now. I don't think I'm able to catch you. If you look at total points now, I don't think I can really catch you.
Cause
I'm like 600 points behind you at this point.
what, with 2 to go?
Yeah. While it might be mathematically theoretically possible, also remember that we have a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
Of drivers, so yeah.
We all do.
I'm out of this. I don't think I even really can catch Alan. I think mine and his teams are too similar.
Well, apart from he's only got, like I say, he's got Hamilton, Lando, and Piastri. Lando, Piastri, and Hamilton, and Alonso. And you've got Perez, Max, Lando, Piastri, and Guan Yu.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't think we've got a lot.
Nah.
But it's yours to lose. I mean, Alan.
I know it's mine to lose.
Alan theoretically still catch you, but I honestly think you've got it.
It ain't over till that last race. Put it that way. It ain't over till the last race.
Tell the fat lady she's on in private.
I wasn't going to use that expression.
Well, I will.
I know you will. I just want to point out we don't mean any offence by it. It is an old saying, and we still will use it because we're not wanting to cause offence, but we are unfiltered, and this is how the podcast will remain, as you know, and as you probably do enjoy. Is there anything you want to round out with? Your final thoughts of this race?
Not really, no. I think we've covered the big things. Just obviously, Brazil, one of the longest running circuits, obviously the home of the great Ayrton Senna. The track obviously lives with expectations. It is a great track, and this is what I love: is the old school circuits. Long may it continue. I didn't hear. We've been hearing like contract extensions. We didn't get one for Brazil.
2030, isn't it?
Oh, that was good. That's what I like to hear.
I think his contract got extended to like 2030, something like that. I think it's.
That's good then.
Yeah. I mean, my final thoughts on this are basically, it was a good race at the beginning. Blase sort of, usual field spread in the middle. Got very exciting towards the end.
I also will say, I kind of enjoy races with a red flag in them.
Even though it was right at the beginning.
No, but the standing starts are always so good for creating fun. I love standing starts.
Yeah. But, yeah, we're going to end this one here. So, obviously, thank you to David for joining.
It's been an honour and a pleasure.
Obviously, thank you to you guys for listening. And don't forget, the next one will be after Vegas. That one could be some interesting talking points. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully, because I've said it for long enough now. I am so looking forward to that Grand Prix. So looking forward to Vegas. Just wish I could bloody be there.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Don't forget, you can obviously get it Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts at the moment, apart from Apple. And we shall see you for the next one. So, until then.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Goodbye for now.